Recently, I did a couple videos about a response that I got from James Tabor on a summary that I submitted to him. The summary that I wanted to give to you in the details doesn't fit, too many words. And I thought to myself, maybe I'll do a video just on the summary and present it to you. Kind of a way of presenting it to him, too, if you will, on a level, but I wanted to present it to you as well. And I've been waiting for his response so um, I was hoping that he would be able to say factually this isn't true or this isn't true or et cetera, debunk it basically, this theory that I had. Um, I, I, I would say I didn't get what I was hoping for. Uh, what I got was basically things that I already knew about him and his view on it from his videos. Um, the most important part to this is something called the New Jerusalem. It's found in Revelation 21, uh, verses 1 through 8. I see this as being different than the Jerusalem of 21:10 and on into chapter 22 of Revelation. He doesn't see it this way. I can only articulate myself so well through writing, which is why I have never written a book. I haven't even thought about writing a book. People have suggested it. I'm not that type of person. I don't think I could ever actually complete something like that. But what I can do is demonstrate to you, video-wise, of this theory in, I think, better detail. So what I'd like to do is show you, constructing a type of slideshow, if you will, or a list that will go through, and then I will get into the summary that I submitted to him so you can see what he's seeing. I wanted to put it in the details of the video, but it just wouldn't fit, and I thought this would be a better way. And for me, it's good to, I have many videos on this, of course, but it's nice to archive the stuff and detail it a bit more so you can understand it. But that's the biggest problem I have, is conveying to people. In my head, I could see it quite well. I mean, I could bring you in metaphorically and say, sit here at the chair that I've been sitting at and see it the way I've been seeing it. But it's much different when you have to put it into words or you have to articulate it. It comes out much different. So what I'm trying to do is create a video where I'll go through, I'll give you more of a visual map, if you will, of what is happening and the arguments and why, basically the methodology that I take to come up with this answer. So hopefully you could see a bit better, for your consideration, what is happening, how it is happening, and maybe you can even chime in on some things that you think are wrong. Because I'm just following the language that's given. So based on that language and the way the author uses the language, such as, the word anthropos, which is a big one right now, John only uses anthropos, humans, to define people on earth. All the people, the pouring out of the bulls and the wrath and et cetera, et cetera. It's always referring to people on earth when he uses the word anthropos. But when you get to Revelation 21, I think it is verse 1, it's at the end of verse 1 or 2. No, it's not, it's later. It's the part where he says, the tabernacle of God is among men. What he's really saying in Greek is the tabernacle, the tent of God, is among humans, anthropos. So it's very curious as to why James Tabor wouldn't answer this, why he wouldn't detail a bit more. I mean, I know why. I mean, I doubt he even cares. I'm not trying to be rude, but he's a busy guy, and I'm just some kook with a theory. You know, And he's doing it out of, he's not doing it for money or anything. He's doing it to be nice. So I understand why he doesn't do it. But unfortunately, I think he's probably the only person I know of that I'm aware of that can actually go through this stuff and say, this is wrong, that's wrong, this is wrong, that's wrong. But to put it to him, like I did, actually, I don't think that I did. I did in the summary, but I don't think I really emphasized it the way I'm emphasizing it now, because every time I look at it, you you start to see more things. You build upon work, and this is what I like to show you. But he never commented on things like why there are anthropos in heaven at this certain point, given the way John has detailed them, up to for 20 chapters. He's never referred to them that way. So it's a bit of a problem. It's actually quite a big problem for uh, someone like him or anyone else that has this type of theory. Why would he detail them that way? We know that in Revelation later on after this, it's at the end of 21, and it's a bit later, the middle later part of 22, where he's talking about people, uh, not humans, but bad people, sorcerers and dogs. But after this, everyone. This is mostly based on a futuristic, that the kingdom is physical and it's coming down, and these people that are bad still exist. I know Bart Ehrman even brings this up in his book Armageddon, I think it was. I skimmed through the parts. You can on Apple Books, you can put in certain words, because I didn't read the whole thing. I'm not going to, but I mean, it's bad enough that I bought it, but I did buy it, and I did read parts of it where he addresses this, where he says he addresses this, but he never addressed it. He never addressed the fact that these bad people, not humans, sorry, but these bad people are still, I mean, he talks about it, but he doesn't say, oh, this is why. He doesn't offer a solution, I guess is what I'm saying. The way I look at it offers a solution to that as well. So these are the things that I hope to detail to you in this upcoming video. I am taking my time because I want to make sense. I've never heard at all anywhere, and this is the other question I asked him, and he never did answer it, unfortunately. I think I'm going to ask him. Well, I can't ask him again because it's hard, but he's never said, oh yeah, this is the view of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Because my biggest fear is that I did hear it somewhere, and I'm basically just subconsciously regurgitating it. But I do have a Jehovah's Witnesses neighbor, and I confirmed with him again that's not the way he looks at it. So I didn't get it from him, but I basically closed myself off when I've been learning. They taught me all the rapture stuff. I dispelled it, but then after that I kind of closed myself off, and I just read, and I started to learn the Greek and the words, because that's what I think that's all we have. We have the writings, and then we have the range and the context of these words and these chapters and their meaning. So that's where I'm getting this from. And you figure this view that I have would be everywhere. It would be somewhere, maybe in the Greek Orthodox Church, which I also have a connection that I met at the gym. He's from the place where that movie 300, between Athens and Thessalonica, there's, that battle 300. He's from there. I can't remember what it's called. Can, or some short name. But I asked him, Greek Orthodox, do you share do you have this view? And they say no. He said no. But it's something kind of like that. But nothing about, they still think Jesus hasn't come back yet. So everything's tied in with him bringing all this with him when he comes back someday, which I don't see the Bible, the New Testament, saying that at all. And these are the things that I'll build up to and explain a bit in more detail. But I do want to take my time to try to ensure that I'm laying it all down as much as I can. And for me, it's good because I can put it down archive-wise. I mean, I already have, but this will kind of put it down. I really don't care if other people see it this way. I doubt anyone else will. But if they do, at least they can understand the arguments and they can understand the words and so on and so forth. They're not going to win any debates, I'll tell you that, because nobody sees it. Like I said, there's nobody, nothing, anywhere that I've ever seen that has this type of view. Not even really close. I think preterists have something like it, but they're doing all this, they basically take a Bible and throw it in a washing machine, and what comes out is what they believe. It just doesn't make any sense. They take things out of context, and it's like they're not that far away, yet they are. They put up some big walls in front of them. This is what I'm going to detail is much simpler. It's so easy. It really is. I don't know why people can't see it, but I get it, because people have a certain view. You mention something, they automatically, a lot of them just automatically shut up or shut off that view, wait for you to stop talking until they can tell you what they think of that view. But people have their views and their beliefs, and that's fine. But for your consideration, I'm proposing this of what I found based off of the language. And even thing like anthropos in our Bibles, they'll mix it up as well. They'll mix up people with humans, and humans will be men. And so when you read it in English, it's really hard to pick up on these things. It really is. It's tough. It's almost impossible unless you dig into that language, which is why I consulted these experts, these classicists, and even in the Greek language, this acquaintance of mine from the gym, he's Greek, but they don't speak that language. They don't speak Koine or Attic Greek, the archaic Greek, from Homer's time. They may know some words, but I've even watched videos on YouTube where I don't know, I think there was a biblical guy or something like that, but he thought he'd be funny and go out and give people like $20, Greek money. I don't know what it was. I think it was something significant, like a 20. Hey, tell me an ancient Greek word, or tell me, something. And it was like $20, and no one could do it. They were trying to remember something they learned in school, I think, somewhere along the line. It seems like they're teaching them, but no one knew. So it's a language that no one knows about, or no one really personally knows about, because they don't study it. I mean, who would, right? Unless you're in the profession. Now, then you get into the biblical side of things, and they just manipulate everything. So you don't know which way is up, because this person says this, and that person says that. Orthodox, I mean, it's just a big argument. That's why I went above and out of reach of those people. I crossed over to this crevasse, this Grand Canyon, if you will, and I'm referring to our American Grand Canyon, of just separation between the classical world and our biblical world. The Bart Ehrmans, all these people that I don't really know a lot of people, but like real biblical, like Baptists and, stuff like that say, I speak Greek, but they understand the Greek the way they were taught. And the way they were taught is obviously given to them in a certain way, so you'll see it a certain way. So it makes sense to them. Sometimes those words are quite a stretch, and it seems to me that they're not going in that direction at all. So I'm just trying to give you a view that shows you more of the classical world's view of the Greek. Because Koine Greek is based off of Greek. Uh, Classical Greek. Sorry. Koine Greek is based off of classical Greek. Okay, that's what it is. It's just a lazy, dumbed down version. Okay? Um, and it is a bit archaic, but there's these range of meanings that exist that are more likely to mean something than what they are claiming it says. Meaning, they say it means this, but actually, that's so much of a stretch that it probably doesn't mean that. There's a more probability that it doesn't mean that than it does. And what they're doing is what I found, in my opinion, this is my opinion, they looked at the Bible and they said, Jesus hasn't come back yet. And that's a problem because we just started this religion. We got people, they didn't have the Bibles. So we have to, whoever these people were, look at it in a different way. They need to see it the way we need to see it. And the way that we need to see it starts here at this verse. But the problem is, after that verse, like in Matthew 24, 35, they say, well, we'll say this part is still future, hasn't happened yet. But then they have parts behind it, like Noah and the flood, and one will be taken, one will be left. That's what it says in our Bibles. But it just, it doesn't say that. In all probability, that is unlikely. And people like Bart Ehrman have this. Everyone has these views. Millennialists. I think preterists are the ones that don't, but they're usually, everyone else does. Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, all these major religions have this view that this part is still future. So everything behind it has to be future as well. That's really, really hard to do based on the language. Parlambano, that word that they say is taken, it's actually impossible to mean that. You can say, I made a video about this. You can say that, but it really doesn't build up into that at all. It's actually quite impossible. And then you got Alpha-Amy, which has a range of meanings. Here it seems it could be negative or it could be positive. It's kind of a 50-50. But the taken, the parlambano, which actually means received, means there's two people involved and it's a cooperative thing. So unless people are giving themselves over to judgment because they knew they were bad boys and girls, I don't see it happening, especially in a large group like that. The Roman army didn't come to Jerusalem and they just said, oh, well, we deserve it because we're bad. Sorry, God. And then they just gave themselves over. That's not historically accurate. So what I'll be presenting is all that material that you'll find on my video. So I really won't be touching that part. I'll be getting to the end times part, just the end times. And we'll be going from all that built up into the Olivet Discourse from Matthew 25 and then into Revelation 20:11, and we'll push on to them. And then I'll be giving you a graph, and we'll be looking at some of the contrasts between the two. Again, like the humans. There's a stream, but then the other Jerusalem has a river. A lot of stuff like this. So I don't know when that's coming out, but it's coming soon, and I'm working on it. So any comments, and I'll talk to you soon.